My friends, Perfect Dark is an absolute masterpiece of a video game, to put it lightly, which just the other day turned 20 years old. A game that went far beyond the expectations of any 5th generation console shooter at the time. And fittingly, on that 20th anniversary of Perfect Dark, we saw a speedrunner, the greatest in the game's history, achieve a masterpiece of a speedrunning feat, with a time of Skedar Ruin's Agent 104, holding all 20 of the game's records on the Agent difficulty at the same time. This is the story of PerfectAce's Perfect Dark, Perfect Sweep. At the start of February 2020, PerfectAce was ranked 3rd place on the Elite.net world rankings for Perfect Dark speedrunning, behind Big Boss Man and Carl Jobst. At this time, Ace held 24 of the game's single-level world records, and Ace had 10 records on Agent, with 7 on both Special and Perfect Agent. However, merely 3 months later, PerfectAce would hold 43 of the game's 60 records, with 20 on Agent, 12 on Special Agent, and 11 on Perfect Agent. So how did this happen? How did he chase down the 10 Agent records he didn't have in only a few short months? And what does it all mean? Well, let's take it from the top. Perfect Dark is a highly competitive speed game and has been more or less since its creation 20 years ago. The game tracks your best time on screen, displaying it to you every single time you select a stage, as if it's taunting you to improve it, lower and lower, just begging for you to speedrun the game. To begin 2020, 14 different players held an untied world record in the game. That being, they were at least the full second ahead of all the other 745 players ranked on the leaderboards on at least one stage, which is a testament to just how widespread success in the game was. There was no single truly dominant player, with dozens able to set amazing world records, improve times, and make history. And that's why Ace's crushing dominance in the game over the past few months is just so impressive. So let's just run down the list, and there are 10 records we're going to get through, so some of them will be glossed over, but here we go. February 8th, 2020, PerfectAce achieves Investigation Agent 103, one of the easier records of this whole journey. He was the 7th player to match the time. This run does require you to fall through a 2-pixel wide gap to skip these lasers, which is precise and annoying to pull off. Ace improved his PB to 105 3 days earlier, so this was a fairly short grind for him. But that's the thing, with a grind, you'll see it seems Ace can pull off any record in the game. On February 11th, 2020, Ace tied Mayan SOS Agent 135. This had been a Carl Jobst untied since December 2016, intimidating for many, with only a small handful even able to nail down a 136th. In order to get these scores, you need to have flawless strafing throughout the level, and then can only just barely make the cycle on this lift. It's sometimes been compared to Streets 111 as an extremely tight, pure strafing level, though it has even fewer ties. So yet another impressive record in the books for Ace. Ace then turned his attention not to a new Agent record, but to improve an old one, with War Agent 24. This record, breaking the longest standing record in Perfect Dark history, was so momentous I already dedicated an entire video to it. So check that out if you want to know more about this one. Ace would then look to the other difficulties, getting an untied Pelagic 2 Perfect Agent 149 the very same day, and another Perfect Agent record on Air Force One 124 the following day, which crowned him champion of the game. He'd play the special and perfect agent difficulties for the next couple of weeks, shoring up some more times, getting 9 world records along the way, 4 of which were untied. By this point into mid-April, pretty much the entire world had gone into full lockdown, offering many speedrunners nothing else to do but speedrun. Ace being one of those people with really nothing else to do, so he took to the Deep Sea stage, and after conquering untied world records by Carl and Jez on Special and Perfect Agent, he turned his sights to Agent, where he would match the 4-way tied record of 2:25. This is a strange level where PAL is immensely advantaged over NTSC by more than 30 seconds because the far sight weapon can shoot a further distance, completing an objective which requires a much more roundabout route on NTSC. Luckily, Ace does indeed have a PAL console and was able to notch this record on his birthday, so happy belated, mate. Ace then began playing Attack Ship and tied Chuya's legendary 1 in a million 206 speedrun, the longest standing untied in Perfect Dark history, a record that was unmatchable by anyone for 3,246 days. This record was also so momentous that I dedicated an entire video to it, so go check that one out if you'd like to learn more. But yeah, to say Ace was on a heater is an understatement, and believe it or not, we are just heating up. At this point, late April, a new strategy was discovered on the G5 building level. Possibly the most overlooked strategy in Perfect Dark history, so we'll go into detail on this one. Normally, in order to progress through the first 2 big rooms on this stage, you must eliminate all the guards in said room, which is tricky because the guards use cloaking devices and run around. And the last guard you shoot will drop a keycard, which opens the door out of these rooms. There's this guard just outside the door from the second room, who flees to set off an alarm if you try and shoot at him. He was programmed this way intentionally to avoid the wise guy strategy of shooting at him, luring him to the door, skipping the second room. So this was considered a dead end for the last 20 years. However, if you shoot at him the initial time, then let him start running away, and then shoot at him again, this second shot does lure him to open the door. This is probably because he was specifically programmed not to open the door upon the first shot. Once he starts running away and performing a new animation, he just becomes a normal guard. A huge oversight on both the part of the speedrunners and developers. So anyways, this whole process saves about 1 second, not too game-breaking, but enough time for a new untied world record. Ace already had the record here, 34 seconds, along with Carl, Swiss, and Clemens, but he used this strategy to lower it to 33. This was necessary too, as Clemens would later tie the 33, so had Ace not achieved this time, perhaps it would be a Clemens untied, and we wouldn't be here basking in this 20 out of 20 perfection glory.
I got it.
Next up was Escape Agent, one of the most fun levels in Perfect Dark in some ways, but also one of the more annoying ones, in that you can lose runs by Elvis spinning around, wasting time, and otherwise trolling you on the way to his ending location. The record stood at 220, a 4-way tie, and one of the rare records in Perfect Dark held by gaming icon Mark Rutsu. On May 4th, Ace got this 221 with clear time loss from a trolling Elvis, spinning around and mucking about, which might be enough to break the heart of a common speedrunner. But alas, Ace was undeterred, and so later that day he would convert another great run into the world record 220. Chicago Agent 14 was next, a really amazing record set by Clemens in 2011, one of the game's longest standing untieds in history, standing for over 2,600 days before finally being matched by Joris Quevedo. And joining them a year later would be Ricky the Rixer. Ace knew this would be quite the challenge. It's basically a perfectly optimized run for 14 seconds with no room for error. And so Ace grinded the short stage for 3 full days. After enough tips from Ricky on how to quickly exit the sewer after picking up a briefcase objective, Ace nailed the run for 14 seconds and his 17th of 20 Agent World Records. This one is cool because we can see Ace thank Ricky for the tips in his ranking page comment, and Ricky thanks Joris in his. So it's quite a nice chain of collaboration and community, demonstrating that anything is possible when we work together. Next up was Mr. Blonde's Revenge, a level on which Ace, unbelievably, had never held a single record. In 2015, a series of new strategies were discovered, cutting roughly 30 seconds off the time on each difficulty. A story better saved for a 10-hour Speedlore episode someday. And Ace really hadn't played the stage much with these new strats, so no one knew just how long it'd take him to learn and master the stage, to the point of matching the agent record of 54 seconds. Well, once again, it took him all of 3 days. The level is goofy and complex, having to push the NPC Cassandra into this secret room where she spins up the ladder, which tricks the game into thinking she's on the roof of the stage, and then you have to clip through the building, land in a very precise spot, and shoot out this bomb to trigger the end of the stage. Yes, not a very beginner-friendly level, but not a problem for PerfectAce. Airbase seemed to be the greatest challenge of any for Ace. 112 was the record, and Ilu untied, and Ilu is known for getting some pretty cooked untieds. Ilu was just particularly good at the airbase level, for example getting a 19.50 entry to the airbase, which is about 0.3 or 0.4 seconds faster than most people, including Ace, can regularly get. Ace began looking into some TAS strategies like skipping or warping through these deadly lasers, though nothing fruitful came of this. Over the course of a week, Ace was able to save some of his lost time by optimizing the deployment of his cam spy, something you do to call for the lift on this stage. It might be hard to pick up for the untrained eye, but Ace keeps the cam spy in left strafe for a brief time, which seemed to save about 0.2 or 0.3 seconds. This breathed new life into Ace's Airbase 112 attempts, and on May 17, Ace indeed nailed the epic run to notch his 19th concurrent Agent World Record in Perfect Dark. Be careful though, Ace, as the new time saver has already motivated Elude to play the level again, duplicating his own 112. My friends, is 111 possible? I guess we'll find out another time, because now we're in the home stretch. Only Skedar Ruins Agent 104 remained, the first untitled record set in the career of the upstart newcomer to Perfect Dark and mega K-pop stan Dr. Light. Dr. Light is something of a prodigy, only picking up the game in March 2019, yet already soaring to 5th place on the world rankings. And so his first untied 104 was quite meaningful to him. However, upon Ace getting the Airbase 112, Dr. Light knew his 104 was in danger, and indeed it was. Because on May 22nd, 2020, the 20th anniversary of Perfect Dark's release, PerfectAce notched the 104 on Skedar Ruins Agent to go a perfect 20 for 20 on all the Agent records in the game. A truly remarkable feat, achievement, and really one of the most insane performances in the history of speedrunning. Imagine naming yourself something like PerfectAce when you first started speedrunning at 10 years old, and yet here we are 15 years later, still being able to live up to your name like no one else ever could. A perfect ace for perfect ace. This feat, specifically getting all 20 world records on Agent, had been performed twice in the past. In 2003 by Carl Jobst, and in 2000 by Snapdragon, both absolute legends in their own right. However, it should be pointed out that, back then, competition in the game was way thinner, and the records were just far less optimized. So while those sweeps were indeed impressive, the 2020 version of this feat just takes it to a whole other level. Can Ace get the full 60 out of 60 world record sweep? 20 out of 20 on Agent, Special Agent, and Perfect Agent. Well, most would hear about his recent feats and think, of course, Ace can get anything. And he has shown that in a matter of days, he can go from not knowing much about the current world record strategies on a stage to completely mastering them and making world records inevitable. But here are some of the tougher road bumps that will be a challenge if Ace goes for the unprecedented full game sweep. Attack Ship, Special Agent, and Perfect Agent will be particularly troll because Ace's PAL cart and memory pack are corrupted, so he'd have to play through the game entirely on Perfect Agent difficulty in order to even attempt these records every day, every time he wanted to play for them. These records also have lucky endings on par with Chuya's legendary Agent 206. Even though these sorts of endings have become more common lately, I still think these would be a huge challenge if Ace wants to pursue 60 out of 60, and maybe someone should send him a new PAL cart and memory pack. Another big roadblock will be Defection Perfect Agent 112 by Big Boss Man. This is, believe it or not, a 7-second untied world record, and 11 seconds clear of Ace's PB on the stage. Incredibly complex things are going on in this speedrun, but it just looks like a mess to the casual viewer. It's not very friendly to strafing and shooting, optimizing your lines and aim, which is Ace's bread and butter, and is more reliant on the execution of incredibly precise clips and falls. So if anything, this would probably be the last or one of the last few records Ace matches if he were to keep this heater going and get all 60 world records. But hey, just as easily, tomorrow or next week, the world could get back to normal, and Ace would no longer be able to pump the hours into the game that are required to go on such a mad streak. Who knows what the future will behold? Only time will tell. Now, as a parting note, in honor of Perfect Dark's 20th anniversary and the remarkable feat which rang it in, I wanted to read this reflection of the game, written by my pal and music producer Kara Thorne, set to a cool piece he put together, a tribute to the game. Great memories. You take GoldenEye as a base, write down everything you could possibly think of in terms of gameplay, options, multiplayer, weapons, story, and AI, and you'd still come up short on what this game actually delivered. It totally blew away every expectation you'd dare to have on how complete and advanced a game could be at that time. Perfect Dark IMO is by far the most ambitious game that was ever created. If you look at the status quo around that time and what games had to offer, the amount of ceilings broken in this game is almost endless. You had guns that could deploy and would shoot enemies even when you were not around. You could actually pilot missiles through the air in first-person perspective. You had guns that could see and shoot through walls. The multiplayer options were literally endless. You could alter every aspect of the stage, the game mode, the AI, the guns, goals, and characters. You could co-op a single mission together. OMFG, that was a dream come true. Heck, you could even play a game mode where a friend would spawn as an enemy within a single-player mission and had to hunt you down. You could go up against AI that would avenge you, that would hunt as a team whenever you wanted. In single-player, the AI would set off alarms, lose their gun, call for help, or investigate a body they found. The game didn't just capture your imagination, it went way beyond that. It's crazy to think about the lengths Rare went to program all of this. Obviously around that time, 3D gaming was just starting to fully develop, and the technology available made it possible for developers to make such huge leaps forward. Also, I was 13 at the time when it was released, which is probably the time in your life when you are the most receptive to your imagination being captured. It's without a doubt the most defining game in my youth, and I kept on playing it until I was far into my 20s. I still keep the game and community around speedrunning Perfect Dark close to my heart, and despite the fact that I never got extremely good at speedrunning, I enjoyed every bit of it. It's crazy to think that Ace got 20 Agent World Records on the exact day of the 20th anniversary. What an immense feat. Congratulations to him. Every now and then I still feel the urge to grab the N64 from the attic and relive some of the magic this game brought to my life, but I always end up thinking it's best for me to just enjoy the memories and keep looking forward. Thanks for watching, my friends. Stay true, and I'll see you in the next stream or video.